So hello, everybody. Wow, that's a slide. Wonderful. So really excited to be here. I think it's our fourth time presenting the European TV Drama Series Lab in Gothenburg. So we would like to extend a warm thank you to Sia and to Andrea to inviting us back to this really fantastic event. And it's growing every year. I think this kind of an audience we have not seen so far. So that's really wonderful. Yeah, we're here to talk about the TV Drama Series Lab. Maybe a few words on the Erich Pommer Institute from my side. We are one of the leading training institutions in Europe. We also do research, and one of our programs is the TV Lab, and it's actually a high-level training and network for key players in the European television industry. And what is so unique about it, it's that it brings together writers, producers, and broadcasters all at the same program. We're currently promoting the 4th edition of the lab, and we are looking back to 3 very successful previous editions and a network of almost 100 TV professionals from more than 20 countries. We are very proud of the good feedback we receive and the successes. Many people out of the alumni are now working together. New TV drama series are being developed currently, and they told us that they really go back to their own projects with new energy, new ideas, and a new sort of take on sort of the industry and the business. The target group, and I think that's important to mention, is quite high levels. So we're really looking for experienced people, as I said, writers, producers, and broadcasters that do have a proven track record in the industry. Level in previous years, as I said, quite high, and we do have a selection process and make sure that we carefully select a group that can really work perfectly together and do business with each other. If you're interested, next application deadline is April 24th, and we would of course be delighted to see many of you in our TV lab. And I now hand over to my dear colleague Katrina Wood, our head of studies for this program, for some more information on the content details. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. It's always a pleasure to be here in Gothenburg at the beginning of the year and see so many of you who I've got to know over the years. Just to give you a bit of a background for what you would be able to expect if you came to join us in Berlin, there are 2 modules. One, which is run in July, is really a week where we really give you the framework for successful European TV drama series. And within that, you get this, the state of the industry, the trends, European co-productions, and the best lessons from both European and US models. And of course, which is what we're going to hear about a bit today, the 360 content and transmedia. The second module is in November, and it's more putting to work, applying what we've been talking about in the sort of creative principles. So we have 2 writers' rooms, which are run by American showrunners, and then the other side of things is managing creative teams. So we have I don't know if it's a European expression, but in the UK it's called swanking. So I'm going to swank and say that the US showrunners that we've had so far with us in Berlin include Glenn Mazzara, who some of you may remember was the showrunner for The Walking Dead. Simon Mirren, who's now here in Europe doing Versailles with Kappa. Craig Wright, who some of you met when he was here in Sweden and in Denmark after the lab, who was involved obviously with 6 Feet Under, Lost in his own series, The Dirty Sexy Money. Then for execs, we've had Roland Bauer from Tandem, Jens Richter, now the head of Fremantle International, Peter Nademann, who many of you know well, who's doing the big co-production series Team, Jimmy Desmarais from Les Revenants, and then writers including Richard Fell, Stephen Gallagher, Brits. So a good quality of people delivering the message. And today we have with us to sort of reflect a bit about what we're thinking in the transmedia area is Nuno, who you will be introduced to by Andrea. And so if you have any questions about the lab, feel free, of course, to speak to either me or Nadia, and we hope to welcome some of you there this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
And it may not, thank you so much, it may not be visible, but the website is tv-lab.eu. So there you can find out more. Okay, now we come to the transmedia part, and this is personally an area that I'm not too familiar with, and that's why I'm so excited that we have one of the foremost experts of it here, award-winning, Emmy-nominated producer, who is also the founder and manager of Be Active Entertainment, Nuno Bernardo. And I'll give that to you.
Hello, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for Andrea and the Eric Palmer Institute. I have to confess I was not very familiar with the Scandinavian drama and television marketplace. I think I just was once in Sweden, and I thought it was in Denmark because I landed in Copenhagen and I took a small train to Malmo, and I thought it was still Denmark, but as a taxi driver told me I was in Sweden. So it was a fast cross from one country to the other, and I didn't even know. And I was amazed this morning. I'm amazed with this room. I think it's you should be proud because it feels like it's a very strong industry that's happened here. And I see some of your television series in around the world when I travel and where I live in Portugal. So I think it should be proud, and I feel a little small being here with all these great product that you've been producing in the last few years. So, okay. This is me. I created this company 13 years ago because I was working in the advertising world, and I was working with companies like Unilever, and they will start to complain in the early 2000s. It was very, very difficult to promote their products, to sell their products to teenagers and young consumers, because it was very difficult to track them down, to put ads on TV or other medium, because they have a very erratic behaviors. I remember a study that we circulated in an agency that tracked a 6 weeks period of an average teenage girl in Portugal, and it was amazing because they tracked down what was the behavior of the girl next door, as they say. So week 1, she has a boyfriend, so she will use the mobile phone and never connect to the television. Second week, she breaks up with a boyfriend, she's moaning at home, so she spends a lot of time watching television. Third week, she decides to, okay, I had enough, I need to move on, and third week she spends a lot of time on the internet and so forward. So it was very difficult for a brand to promote a product to these new audiences that becoming more connected with the mobile devices, more connected to the computer and to the internet, and television was less and less as their favorite medium. And we're talking about early 2000s. So when I started my company, I thought, if I want to talk to this audience, I can't just make a television series, because the chances are they will probably not see it, or the majority of my target audience will probably not see the way I want them to see. So when I started my first show, Sophia's Diary, I basically create the world for this character, and I allowed the audience to connect to the world of this fictional character to different medium. They could follow the stories in the radio in the morning, they could be texted by the lead character in the afternoon, they could read the blog as soon as they get home from school, and they could at evening watch a summary of what happened to this character during the day on a small 5 minutes episode that was broadcast on national television. And this show grow. We run it Monday to Friday for 4 consecutive years. It became very successful in Portugal. We then make magazines, books. We license the brand for different products, and the show was then sold to Sony Pictures and television in LA. And so far, it was already done in 10 different territories. So there was 10 different Sophias all around the world, and based on this successful experience, I've been creating shows that use this approach. That is, creating a character or creating a fictional story that uses digital media, social media, new platforms to sit it to an audience, work with an audience to perfect the story, to make the characters more engaging, and then have a path that starts on the web, starts on digital platforms, and then leads to bigger products, including books, television, and more recently feature films. So what we do is we see ourselves as a character and story creating agency, and then we materialize that creating books, games, blogs for our characters. When our brands become very popular, we also license to product manufacturers, and in case of Sophia's Diary, we had everything from PJs to fake tattoos to different objects that teenagers bought with their favorite character. We also, when our brands succeed online, we cross them to television and we do television series. And also more recently, we also do feature films based on the properties that most of the times we started online. And the case study I'm bringing here is Beat Girl, is a coming of age story about this girl called Heather, average girl that was learning how to play the piano, and she has all her life mapped out by her mother that was also a pianist, and she thought she knew who she was, and then suddenly the mother died, and she goes to live with the father, and then she connects with this new world of electronic dance music, and then she becomes torn between the world of classical music and the world of electronic dance music. This is how we do it. Most of our shows, we started with a story. We try to be platform agnostic, meaning that we don't create a 90-page film script, or we don't create a TV Bible or a TV pilot episode. Basically, we try to create the story without the format, without the rigidity of the format. When we are happy with the story, when we think we know who this story is for, we try to find our audience. We create web series, we create blogs, we create Pinterest profiles, as you will see in the BitGirl case study. So basically what we do is we try to nail down where is the audience that we are looking for, what is the website they use, what is the social media that they use, what are their behaviors, and then we seed content there from the form of a blog or a video blog or just a picture profile, and then from there we try to validate if the audience likes the story we are creating, if they like the character, if they like the actress that we pick or the actor that we pick for the leading roles. And then we grow with social media. We try to create a fan base, a community. And most of the times we also then expand this online experience to books. Most of our shows are aimed for teenage, young adult demographic, mainly girls. So books and novels are really key on this demographic. So we create most of the times books for this that support the story that we are creating. In the last years, we also been using apps and mobile games as a way to engage the audience and also to spread the story in different platforms. And then when we have a fan base, when we have a community, when we validate that the story has potential to this audience, then we approach co-producing partners, broadcasters, networks, and try to bring it to television screen. And then if we succeed also on television, then we try also go to the feature film route. And most of the times at the end of this journey, we probably will have a feature film or a series of feature films that expand the characters and the initial story to the big screen. From the story to the film, it's a process. We don't create everything from the beginning. So usually, as I said, start with the story. We try to validate all these steps. And this journey can take 5 years, can take 6 years, where we are nurturing our audience, we are nurturing the characters and evolve the story to try to, when we come to the marketplace with a television series where we are asking big money from broadcasters or funders, we validate that there is someone out there that is keen to watch and read what we are producing. and a small presentation of what was Beat Girl and how we developed through this process of 5 years. Why we do it? First, and more important probably is from my advertising background, I believe that it only makes sense to tell a story if there is someone willing to listen to it. So for us, it's important to find an audience. So before we produce a television show or go down the route and spend years developing the content, we need as early as possible to see if there is an audience. There is an audience that resonates with our content, and that's the first reason that we do what we do. And second is to test stories. I know that I'm in a room full of, or at least with lots of writers here, and also as a fellow writer, we believe that we are God. Everything that we write is amazing. But in reality, most of the times what we write, probably the audience will not have the same view as we do. So for us, it's important that we test what we write, test the characters, test the ideas and the stories with an audience. Sometimes we do it online, and other times we do offline. We work a lot with schools because I usually do tours with the books that we produce, and I go to schools in Portugal and Ireland, in the UK. And usually what we also do is that we work with teenagers in the classroom, and sometimes we give them scripts, or we go to drama departments at high schools and we test the scripts as a way that we can validate the stories that we are developing. And then of course nowadays that having a platform, having a fan base is important to get work commissioned, work funded. It's important for us that we, in this process, we are creating a community and we are creating a fan base. And also, we control marketing and distribution. Of course, when you create some piece of content, wherever it's film and television, as soon as it's out there somewhere, you'll lose control because it can be put on the internet, and then legally or illegally it can be available on the same day, same time, all around the world. But if you have a fan base and if you control the way it's distributed, you could somehow lead the conversation between yourself or your content and the audience. And then of course we want to create an entertainment brand, because like in Sophia or Flatmates and other shows that we did before, where we have a fan base and when we have a brand that is recognizable by the target audience, then we are able to sell products and license the brand to different manufacturers. And then of course at the end we always want to make a little more money, so we keep producing the shows and the stories that we want to produce. And why we do it? Probably you know the guy. I think it's a Swedish magazine. Correct me if I'm wrong. I hope you know the guy. It's very funny because when I do these presentations on universities, everybody knows the guy. When I do in more adult forums where people are over 30, nobody knows the guy. He's called PewDiePie, and him alone is the biggest network in the world. He has more views and he has a bigger audience than any network broadcaster in the world. And I think I brought him here because nowadays we live in a world that producers, content makers can connect directly to an audience. When I started, I needed to have a broadcaster, I needed to have a publisher, I need to have someone that will say yes or no to the content that I produce. And if they say no, I have no way to connect with an audience. Nowadays, 20-somethings or even earlier, my son loves this guy called Skylander Boy, and he's 7. And this boy that is 7 years old makes this video about this game called Skylanders, and last year he made 1.5 million euros on the internet. And I already gave a GoPro to my kid, and he's 5. I hope that by 7 he's also making 1.5 million. And I can't stop working. But the reality is, everyone now can be a creator, and everybody now can connect directly to an audience. Can be thousands or can be billions, like is this guy. And of course, using this transmedia approach, we can control or at least lead the conversation with our own audience and create this fan base that we hope that will go with us when we move from one platform to the other. The second example is, I believe that transmedia allows us to tell a better story, at least because we can create an experience around that. Probably you know these two guys. This was a movie in late 90s, early 2000s called The Blair Witch Project. And the reason I brought it here is imagine watching the movie without knowing all the buzz around it. Probably the movie will not be as good or will not be perceived as good as it was by millions of people worldwide, because the filmmakers were able to create this experience, create this controversy about it. Was this real? Was this a documentary? Or was this a mockumentary? And the experience using internet, using the online communities made the movie, made the experience better. I usually say that when I was doing Sophia's diary, for me Sophia was like Santa Claus, because the audience believe that she was real, although they know she was not. And Christmas is much better if you believe that Santa exists. And here, I think the movie is much better if you believe that this was a documentary and the kids featured in the movie really died or really disappeared. So for me, transmedia also allows you to create a better experience and create a context that will allow the audience to perceive the story in a different way. And then the third reason is, when we go to broadcasters, when we go to funders, and because we did this journey online, because we build our fan base, we build our community, we have leverage. This is the poster for our recent project. It was called Collider in Europe, and then because we had we released a lot of content online, we did comic books, motion comics, and because this online content got found and got seeded, and a community was built in Japan, a country that we never went and we never had anything distributed there. And because the online content really connect with teenagers in Japan, our sales agent was able then to sell the movie to a film distributor, and the movie just opened in January in Japan, because the online content that we were seeding for the international marketplace got caught in Japan, and the kids in Japan loved it, and now the movie is being distributed in Japan. And that happens because we are able to know who's accessing our online content. We know who's downloading the games. We know who's reading the comic books, who's watching the videos on YouTube. And then we are able to seed this information to our sales agent. And then they go to local distributors and say, okay, you know that this project has already a fan base of X amount of people in your country. And this helps them to sell the show international. Back into BitGirl, we started on Pinterest. The reason that we started on Pinterest was we had this story for a couple of years before it came out, and I was at MIP TV, and I was there on the stand with my salesperson, and she's 30 something, and she was the heaviest user of Facebook I knew at the time. But the week before we went to Cannes, she closed down her Facebook account, and of course I got notified that she was canceling her Facebook account, and I asked her why. I've been following you. You are a heavy user, especially in work hours of Facebook, and why you switched? You shut it down. And then she said, "Oh, Facebook is so old news, and the use I have of Facebook is for post photos." And I found this new social media. I think this was like 2010, 2011, called Pinterest. This was even before I think Instagram. And I'd never heard about Pinterest. So I Googled Pinterest, and then first or second entry was this report that said that Pinterest was growing exponentially, and 83% of their users were teenage girls and young women. And I thought, I don't want to go anywhere else. If I'm launching a series for this demographic, I need to be on Pinterest. I don't want to be on Facebook because I'm competing with millions of other content pieces. I want to be on Pinterest. So we brainstorming, and we said, how can we create a show, or how can we start telling a story only using images? So we went back and we went to the 60s, and we found this photo novel format where you take photos of the cast and you put these balloons with the dialogue. And we start doing these pages of photos with balloons, like a comic book, but with not drawings, but with live action shots. And we start seeding online, and we made mood boards for the character, for the world of the characters. And then it just got picked everywhere. Digital Dot magazine classified as one of the top 10 most influential Pinterest profiles in 2012. And based on this success, we were able to, in one hand, validate that, okay, this character resonates with our target audience, and we are already building a fan base that allows us to build our brand. So from there we went to Wattpad, because we were just working images, so now we needed to add words. Wattpad is a Canadian platform that we partnered with them years ago. It's like a social network for book lovers, where you can read stories for free and users can create their own stories. We got 1 million reads in the first weeks of releasing, and then we got a publishing deal with a publisher. We published the book in North America and UK. Then we licensed the book to other countries, including Portugal. And then we partnered with, because we were releasing the content also in Europe, we needed to find an European partner. And then we partnered with, I think it's Danish company called Novellas. They are very similar to Wattpad, but they are stronger in Europe, in Scandinavia, and also in the UK. And we did a competition to their users and said, okay, we've been building this story, but now we need your help. You can help us to expand the story world and create more stories to the secondary characters. So we did a competition, and one British girl called Victoria Bush, she created a book that was fantastic, and we licensed the book from the writer, and then we also published that book on international marketplace, expanding the story world that we were creating. Then we start adding image and moving image, so we create web series. One, it was a factual web series that was, she went out to connect with existing DJs. You saw Paul Oakenfold and many others on the video. So she went and did meetings. The actress went in character asking for advice from real world DJs. And the reason that we did that was because all these DJs, they already have huge followings. So it was a way that we can validate the character in the electronic dance movement, the dance music movement. And we could benefit from the fact that whenever we did a video with our character, our actress, and Paul Oakenfold, then the video will be seeded to all Paul Oakenfold fans around the world, and our show will start to get also be seen in this electronic dance music community. Then we did a small web series, and then we crossed to television. The show was broadcast in several countries around Europe. I know that it was sold to Scandinavia. I don't know the name of the broadcaster. But it was on a digital channel, and then later last year we had the movie in cinemas. It was released simultaneously in Portugal, UK, and Ireland. The story set in London, and also it was released in the US in the Hulu as a Hulu exclusive. We then create a few products that help us to monetize the free content that we made available. We had the movie that would then follow the home video and is available on iTunes and all the transactional platforms. We had the novels, both in English and some of local language when they were licensed by local publishers. We have a paid app on the App Store and Google Play app, and we have the soundtrack. And the reason that we believe in this model is, for example, we were lucky because the soundtrack features a lot of electronic dance music, and one of the songs, it's not even the main theme of the song, was picked by some kid or someone in Norway, and he put the song on the playlist, and suddenly I'm start making a lot of money with the soundtrack in the Scandinavian market, because we have the album in Spotify and iTunes, and the biggest region the region that generates most revenues regarding the soundtrack is the Scandinavia, especially on Norway, where the song is very popular in someone's playlist. And that also helps us to generate additional revenues and have this long tail where we can keep monetizing the content that we produced. And recently, we were approached by different companies, and Electus, the Ben Silverman's company, approached us, and is now taking the rights of the format, all the content, to create some sort of telenovela for the North American market, to bring this to the US market. And we are also talking with another production company based out of Miami that wants to create, and we are in talks with them and Coca-Cola to create a Latin version called Chicabit, based on the initial format that we developed. So although the English version that we produce, we're not producing more episodes, but now the format, the concept, the original story is being reversed in different territories, as we did in the past with Sophia's Diary and Flatmates. And what I just as a final touch, one of the reasons that I believe in this process is because it helps you to tell better stories. This was the initial promo that we shot before we start all this process, and you saw the final promo a few minutes ago, and I asked you to identify the changes, and I think we changed a lot from what was our initial idea and what ended up to be the final show. We changed characters, race, ages, and many other things. If you can. As you may notice, we changed a lot of things, from even the haircut of the character, the tone. Initially, we went for something more witty, more raw, more gritty, and in the end, we went more polished, more dreamy approach. And that's the consequence of working with audience. Is when we found an audience, we found what the audience was liking and not liking in the original story, and allows us to hopefully make a better story, at least a story that resonates more with the audience that we thought it was the audience for this project. And that's it. The usual suspects. If you want to contact me and following the work that we do, we have an app called Be Active TV where you can access almost all of our shows, at least the free content that we made available. We have that on YouTube and many social networks. And hopefully I'm on time.
Thank you, Nuno, and you get to stay on stage, and maybe we can get another table here, because we're going to be 3 more people. We have a director, Robert Lillhånga, famous for Hata Göteborg, a feature film that was screened here some time ago, and he's now back with the project Runners. And then we have the Story World supervisor of the project, Guided by Ghosts, and also our editor and moderator of the next seminar that will be here at 1:30 at Nostradamus, Johanna Koljonen. I think you should give her an applause. And then we have producer, writer, journalist, transmedia expert from Wall Image, Domenico Laporta. And I see that we need some mics. Yes, they are coming over there. Okay, that was very inspiring to see that you can actually make some money online.
Try to. We are a commercial company. We have banks as our shareholders, so as you may imagine, in the end of the day, they could care less. They like to go to the premieres and the red carpet events, but in the end of the year, they just want to see the accounts in green. So we need to. We're not driven by the money, but in my opinion, in the way that we work, is it gives us freedom. It gives us freedom to keep doing the things that we want to do, the way we want to do. I started my career with the 25 or 26 rejection letters, because Sophia's Diary, although it became a huge success in the end in Portugal and around the world, it was rejected, I think, by everybody in Portugal, because they thought, oh, it's great, but it's too ahead of time. We're not there yet, and it's nice, but will never work. I even have a rejection letter from the local film board when I applied once for film development money, where they said, "Oh, it's nice, but we'll never be successful." And we made millions in revenue so far for Portugal, and the reason that we do the things that we do is that sometimes we are very stubborn. As a producer, you need to be very stubborn. You need to believe in yourself, and you need to do things the way you want to do it, because most of the times it's things that stick and stay around. And for that, you need to have some independence regarding money, because if you don't, you're not able to put your ideas in paper.
And I know, Robert and Johanna, you worked for several years on your projects. Let's just get one thing clear about the terms. Okay, so transmedia storytelling is the telling of a story in different platforms, where every platform gives a new kind of view on the story. So it's multiple platform storytelling, and cross media is just one story that is made into another media. So maybe a book adapted into a film, just to get like the terms correctly, because sometimes it's a bit confusing.
At least that's the way I see. I usually for transmedia I use the description of a puzzle. I see transmedia as a puzzle. Each piece of the puzzle needs to be independent. So if you just read the book or just watch the movie or you just do
you can still get it.
You will hopefully get a good book out of it, or you get a good film out of it. But then if you put all the pieces together, you can see much more than just the independent parts altogether. And for me, that's the best definition of transmedia I found it so far.
And Robert, I can also just say that we are friends since way back. So I think it maybe is like 2 years ago you were in my house showing the kind of pilot for runners, and now finally you're here on stage to talk about it. Maybe you can like pitch the project fast.
Yeah, the thing was, it's a tough business, and I was thinking of doing something else, and I started to run. And I ran some marathon, and because it's very hard in the film business. And then rich guy asked me in my hometown of Helsingborg in south of Sweden, we want to support you, some businessmen. Do you have any film projects? Now I put that aside. And it went some month, and then I got this idea. I can make the first TV series comedy about running. So we got money and we did a pilot, and the problem was that I worked with a really bad scriptwriter. I worked for him for many years. It was myself. And there was the talk yesterday about auteur. I was the demon of the auteur. My ego was very big. I worked with really good producers, many, but I wanted to do everything myself. So we did a pilot. It was really good in the footage and the character, but the story was so bad. And then Swim Lab came along, and I must read here. Swim Lab is a partnership of Boost ABG, Copenhagen Docs, and Film i Skåne, and New Danish Screen. And they helped us and said this is a perfect transmedia project, because we are making fun of this very world of running, because I think everybody have a relationship. Either you love it or you hate it. So we think we can attract a lot of people. And as you hear, my English is very bad. I speak Swinglish. And I lived in London and Dublin, and I tried to speak very good English, but people just said, shut up, please. And we take use of that in this project. The Swinglish have been, when we show it for Swedish people, some people say, that's not funny, I speak like that. And I speak very good. But people abroad, we went to Power to the Pixel, and it went really, really well. So I'm going to show you a clip that hopefully you like as well.
Okay, let's.
And he speaks really good Swinglish, and it's a fake character. And yes, you know it. It's an actor.
Okay, so it's a TV series. What are the transmedia aspects of it? We brought some slides.
It's character based. So we have a lot of characters,
so
funny
it's like
characters.
Documentaries.
It's a mockumentary.
Yeah.
It's like The Office, but we have an English documentary team who goes to Sweden and follows these really, really bad runners. And Michel is one of them. He's been to jail for 1 year, and he's the kindest guy, and he's a peaceful guy, and he hates the culture of winning. We live in a culture where me. It's not a communist film, but it's still like we are so competing. And Michel, he's like an anti-hero, and he starts from zero, but he will be the hero. So my dream and goal is to film him in New York and see him cry, finishing the line. But the problem is, you must do it under 6 hours. Otherwise, they close the goal. And he is very, very slow. But there are a lot of different characters. So the idea was, the transmedia people at SwimLab taught me, why don't you do a Twitter account with Michel, and he can inspire you. And maybe we have the picture. If I can, you can. And next, do you have a number? Today's inspiration, so Michel will give different inspiration. Don't smoke 20 cigarettes today, just 10. And hopefully people feel the joy of running. I mean, I know some runners that are really like, I was addicted to running. I run very much. I ran a marathon under 3 hours. I was the fattest under Stockholm Marathon 2011. So Anders Salka, one of the best in Sweden, he said like, yeah, you're the best, fattest marathon runner I know. For many people ask me, but why are you doing a documentary about running? You don't know nothing. But when I said I run a marathon under 3 hours, I was accepted in the running world. But the main audience is not runners. It's like people who wants to run or hate running, because we will make fun of me and my friends who are running nerds. And the most important thing of this transmedia thing is like we're going to start a real club called Team 100, Run for Fun. So people, it's for free. It's not we're going to make money on that. You can get a shirt for without any profit for us, and you can join. So if you're running in France or Japan and you see Team 100, yeah, Team 100, high five! And we've already been spreading this. I pitched this at Copenhagen, at Swimlab Docks, Copenhagen Docks, and we hand out T-shirts, and we have pictures now from all over the world. People start running with this. But we are not active on internet yet, because the base is still the riding. So now we are a team. I'm not riding alone. I'm just a part of the team. And hopefully my best is the directing. Like Michel, he was not, the character was, he didn't read the script under the interview. We have a script, but I just tell him it in Swedish, and now you translate it. So the joke about him playing with himself in the garden wasn't me, it was Johan, he's so bad in English. So he said like, I told him like, say that you played in your, say att du lekte, that you, yeah, in Swedish, that's nothing strange, but in English it's strange, yeah.
Okay, so was there still one more picture or... Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of the characters. That's Mr. Marathon. He calls himself a former alcoholic who now is addicted to running. And he loves himself so much, and he blogs about his running. You can get a member of Team 100. And there's another running club called SUS. It started in 1937 in Helsingborg. And they are very elitist. And they hate this kind of run for fun. You don't run for fun. You run because show improvement. Win. So there's a conflict there, and then we have the third group. There's the barefoot runners, the hipsters who run just because it's so nice to run. And there is so much to joke about. And now we are a team. In the beginning, it was just me. That was so bad. So now we have a private investor, so I put in a lot of money on this, and that's really nice. And we have a producer in Sweden, but we're looking for an international producer as well. But and they all said, this is so good. Just give us a good script for the first season, and we have a meeting. So we are done with the first episode now, where we have synopsis for the rest. So we are starting booking meetings now, and hopefully we can do this work out.
Okay.
And one egoistic goal is for me to run the marathon. It's so hard to get in there. So maybe one day in 5 years we can do it. Maybe.
Good luck with that. Okay, and now we go on to you, Johanna. And your title, Story World Supervisor, that's something that's not maybe a regular title for a producer in the TV world. Can you tell us about what you actually do, and of course about the project Guided for Ghosts?
I inherited my title from the predecessor on this project, and we're going to talk a little bit about that later, but I think this has been going on for 7 years or something like that. I've been involved for about 2 of them. A Story World Supervisor is the person who's a kind of, well, in this project at least, you're a kind of transmedia director. You're coordinating the different platforms and the stories to make sense. This Guided by Ghost is not a pure transmedia project in that it's both cross-medial. One of the centers is an adaptation of a novel, a feature film adaptation of a novel. The books that I'm going to talk about soon are about a young boy who moves back to his mother's hometown, a small fictional town on the Swedish west coast. But this is really the heart of the series. It's the most haunted town in Sweden. And the meat of this is that in some ways it's very, very realistic. Now, if any one of you has lived in a small town, you know that all small towns are haunted by secrets and shame and past and the sort of oppression of who you are allowed to be in these places. And in Karpsjögrund, this haunting becomes literal. So this is a book series that, especially the first book, Spökskeppet Valona, Ghost Ship Valona, was very successful, and the other books have done well as well here in Sweden and some other markets. Lena Olmark and Mats Wernblad are the writers. The books were originally aimed at the 9 to 12 age group, because in Sweden the book stores are organized in age brackets like this. We've rebranded them together with the publishers Natur & Kultur to allow them to reach up a little bit into the young adult market, but it still skews young. This is the new look, by the way. We haven't published it anywhere. This is very exclusive. And Natur & Kultur are relaunching the whole series now. It's been finished. The feature film, again, is pretty much financed, but that's not the first time, as you know, how these things work. Now it's director Ted Kjellson who's helming. He's done some wonderful genre things in shorter formats. Kapten Sverige, for instance, is a wonderful project of his, but this would be his feature film debut. And this is family adventure, so somewhere between Sixth Sense and Goonies gives a feel for what we're aiming for. This is an R&D project, so we don't have the duty to be super commercial. So there is this idea to take these books that are quite good and do a sort of high quality young children's product. Don't try to read. This is just Lorem Ipsum right here, but a big part of the target audience are kids who like to read books. That kind of a kid, the kid who likes to be sucked into the adventure. So we're working on an app that's going to come out later this year, which is a kind of interactive book / game thing. Ola Skogen, who does the Theos Occulta Mysterier comic books, is the visual artist on that one. And all of this is just conceptual art still, but we have some additional platform things that we would really love to do. We have some very strong ideas for live events, and we have wonderful scripted reality format about kids in haunted environments, or young teenagers in haunted environments, that I would like to talk to you about later, but we have to get these other things off the ground first. So that's what we're working on now.
Thank you. Okay, and last but not least, Domenico, you also brought a short clip with you that you can...
No, it's not a clip. The clip was too long. You told me I couldn't show it.
Yeah.
But if you want to see the clip, there's this tiny URL. You can go there, and this password, and you can see the clip. It's 5 minutes. Well, yeah, I did a lot of different stuff in my life, different jobs. And when I was a student, I was actually not a student. I was a fireman. And I was working night shifts, and during the day I was working in a sports item store. And something happened to me on my final exam in law school. My teacher was completely drunk, and at my oral exam he was so drunk that he didn't remember that I attended the exam. So when I went to see my score, I had 0 no-show, and it was not true. But he didn't remember me, and it was kind of hard to convince him. He had also a big ego. So I did some transmedia. At the time, it was not transmedia, it was transversality between my jobs. I took a baseball bat and I waited for him in the parking lot of the school. Because, you know, we had these very nice baseball bats that I was selling during the day. And but last minute, I thought about, you know, all this lawyer stuff and all the jails, things like that. I said, no, I cannot do it. So I didn't do it. But in the evening, I was talking on a video game forum with a friend that I didn't know, someone completely anonymous at the other side of the planet. And the guy told me, you know, I'm black, and my teacher was a racist, and I failed my exam 4 years ago because of that. And he said, you know, what I could do is I come to your country, I beat the shit out of your teacher, and then I leave. And, you know, we will be vindicated. I thought it was a very nice idea, you know, it's kind of north by northwest kind of thing, but for a film. Maybe not doing this in real life. So we decided years later, now that I'm working with Transmedia, to create a series about it. And the series starts exactly like that. And then it evolves because those two people, they decide to create a social network. A fake social network. In the beginning, they fake everything. It's called Talion, like the Talion law, eye for an eye. And Gandhi said, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind at some point, and it's true. So they create this forum, and anonymous people, they tell their injustice stories, and then they avenge each other. And in the beginning it's bogus, but at some point it kicks in and it starts happening for real. And the series is about that. It's a TV series in 10 episodes of 55 minutes. And it's transmedia because we also have a feature film telling the genesis of the forum. And also we have a web series, and the web series is interactive because you can follow the person that is the avenger and the person that is the victim. And you start watching those two stories, you can switch between one another, and you don't know who is who. And then at some point they cross, and at that moment you can go back and see what happened, why this act of violence happened. It's not always physical violence, sometimes it's psychological violence, because, for example, if your ex left you with your best friend, then what do? So you have to find something that is equivalent to avenge yourself. So it's a lot of creativity there, and also we created the forum for real. So the forum is already active on the internet, but we didn't call it Italian. It's a forum where people are actually telling their true injustice, like the story I just told you, like my story. My story is out there, actually. And we do this as a therapy. So people, they tell their story, and we will inspire ourselves by those stories, and the stories will be created based on true events. And those true events will be the story of those people out there. If they agree for us to vindicate them in a fictional way on the show, maybe they will feel a little bit better, and they will be part of the script as well. So we will find the proper way for them to have their vengeance. It's called Talion. We are actually developing a series right now. We have a promo. You can see it. Yes, following that URL, it has been shot with no money, but with a lot of production value. Thank you.
Okay, I thought that we have a little time to discuss, and let's make it kind of skew it into learning stuff, because we have experts here. And I talked to you, Johanna. You said that you've been working with this project for many years and made a lot of mistakes that you wouldn't have made if you had known the things that you know now back then.
Yeah.
So could you share maybe some of those learning experiences, or what you learned and how to avoid them? And I'm going to ask you the same question afterwards.
I have top 3 things. My first thing is that the pace of development on different platforms is very, very different. So if you're developing a feature film, it's not very rare at all for it to take 7 years. But what happens on the technological platforms during those, and the other available media during those 7 years, of course, means that every 2 years you're going to have to throw out all the work you've done on all the other platforms and start over. And this is when you work with professionals. I mean, if you work with amateurs who have time to develop it in their free times, that's less of a problem. But if you work with professionals who are also going to, get another film and disappear for a year and a half or something like this makes planning very difficult. So I believe a lot in just like getting the stuff to market very early, like you have worked. That would have been a better strategy originally, probably.
So like starting with one platform and then building.
But on the other hand, if you want to do things that are live, you want to time it with a feature film release, for instance, then you're stuck with a schedule that is in the future, but it's never locked down. The other big thing is terminology is different in all of the disciplines that you're going to be working with. So what is a script is very, very different for a filmmaker, for a TV person. How do you develop iteratively? So this means, and certainly for game developers, what is a script is very different. So people will be in meetings and write contracts and believe genuinely that they have understood everything that's said in the room. They haven't understood it at all. And this is a very expensive education for everyone involved, and mostly, of course, for the producers, because again, like, where does the money come from while you're learning these things? And that this is the only way to do it, because you can't go to a school right now and learn this stuff. And the third thing I would have done, of course, is to bring in the audience very, very early, and to figure out, like, who are you making this for, and just put those people in a room, because that makes it so much easier to make the creative decisions. So instead of like developing it like this to hone in on the thing in the middle that you're aiming for, which is what this project has done and very many others, I think, you could have started at the middle and then grown outwards, which would have made a lot more sense. Yeah.
So do you agree with Johanna?
Yeah, I agree. Is it working?
Yeah.
Okay. But another mistake that you could do is wishful thinking, because when you design your experience, because we call that an experience more than a series or a transmedia project. I mean, transmedia doesn't mean anything as far as I'm concerned. With transmedia has been existing since media is existing or stories are existing. But when you design an experience, you always think about the audience. Oh, the audience is so active. They want to be involved. They want to do this and that. And they will flash this QR code and go on the website and see my clip. Actually, no. People are just lazy and they don't do what you want them to do. So either you find some incentives for them to do it. If you flash the code, then you will receive a T-shirt, for example. Otherwise, you just design everything on top of that, and then you have very few results. And if your experience is designed based on the participation, you can be very disappointed. So you need to have different levels and address all the audiences out there. I mean, the lazy people, the people that just want to be passive and just have a regular story, the people that want to be more involved, they will dig a little bit more, the hardcore audience, the fans, people that will even invent stuff towards your concept, like, you know, Lost did that. People were coming up with theories that are better of the show. They are better of the ending of the show. And all that can be anticipated and designed in the beginning, but it's not, the pyramid is like that. It's not on the other way. If you start with the hardcore audience, that you will never go anywhere, and you will be disappointed.
No.
Yes, I slightly disagree with you. I think the hardcore audience is key because in the end they are the disseminators, they are your evangelists. And we did a project in Brazil that it was so complex, and the television element of that have probably 2 million people watching when it was broadcasted, but I only had like 50,000, 60,000 people really playing all these puzzle.
Okay, 60,000, it's a lot. Huh?
Yeah.
When you talk about transmedia concepts, if you can come to 60,000 people as an hardcore audience, I don't call it niche anymore. I call it mainstream.
But for me, even probably spend a lot of money or more money that we should have spent doing that thing, puzzle game for this little audience, if you compare it with the 2 million on the TV. For me, it was important because that 60,000, they were very active and they were disseminating the brand. And this is why, for me, this model somehow works if you see the content initially, because these people will help you to bring it to the mainstream market.
But there is a problem, which is that you're not always in control of these decisions because of how the funding is built up in Europe, certainly in the Nordic countries. Very, very often you are actually dependent on the feature film, on the theatrical premiere being somewhere in the system, and everything else needs to work around that. It's not that the money isn't in the ecosystem or in the value chain, it's just that for this kind of work you need the marketing money at the end, and you need to put that at the beginning. But where the hell do you get marketing money from when the project doesn't exist? Who pays for that? So then you need to go in with a very strong original investment or get some R&D money from somewhere. And so unless you're working with something very commercial that can sustain itself, or you're very passionate and can live very cheaply, it's not actually feasible to produce these projects today in the Nordic countries.
But what would be the way maybe to start making money while you are waiting for that?
I think you address something that is really important, and I've been in other forums I'll be fighting and talking about, is the fact that we all know this makes sense. Hollywood is doing that for ages, building that a movie only comes out if there is a brand attached. This is why they make the movies that they make, based on comic books or existing platforms, because it's so hard to get an audience that the audience needs to build before the movie comes out. Because if the movie comes out without a non-existing audience, they probably don't work as a movie. And I think the problem that we have in Scandinavia and I think all Europe is that we are still organized the way we fund content in very silo, meaning that, okay, the film product in this journey will get the big chunk of money, and probably is the hardest to get, and it has a lot of limitations. Marketing money only comes at the end, but then it's too late, because for the movie to work in the cinemas, you need to start working 2 years in advance. So I think that we need to move towards, and then Wallimage is doing that, and other film funds around Europe are doing that, meaning that when they fund a feature film, they usually fund additional digital content, because they understand that the movie will not work or not work that well if you're not building the audience for
And
that.
you don't need to finance something expensive.
Yeah.
As you were saying with Pinterest, it's just a good decision to take at the beginning. Finance a Facebook page with a community manager full-time working for 2 months can be expensive, but sometimes it's better to do a Pinterest account with someone just shooting pictures as it goes, and it will be more effective because it's more your target audience using Pinterest. And
I know, but publishing, if somebody needs to update Pinterest every day, a couple of times every day for 2 years, that is an investment of money that person is probably not getting paid for. And what we don't need in this industry right now is for fewer people to be getting paid.
Well, for our series, not this one, but the previous one, it's an animation series. The community manager is not paid, but he will have a part in the series. And he's doing this job like very well because he feels like a character of the series there, so he's involved. And he helped us with the Kickstarter, and without him, we wouldn't have raised $300,000 with a Kickstarter with a clip of 1 minute. So this is also part of your design. I mean, the Kickstarter helps you building an audience upfront. Then you find the right person during the Kickstarter, being very involved. You say, can you be our community manager? We will give you a part. And everything is designed this way.
Yeah, but that is still an investment of time.
It is, but when we are doing developing a feature film or television series is a lot of investment. You mentioned 7 years. People are getting paid during 7 years. People are investing their time, their money, their effort, their dreams. So I think my model and what we've been discussing here is, okay, I know that it's more work, but that 7 years probably will have a better payoff if during that 7 years you took 1 hour per week. I don't know how much time to build, to connect with your audience. Whatever is setting up a Facebook page or Pinterest, or whatever is going to a high school and sit down with the kids.
I should say that I
down
agree.
the line, that will help you to hopefully write a better story and build an audience.
I should say that I completely agree. Then at the Nostradamus seminar, which is this afternoon starting at 1:30 in this room, we have Liz Rosenthal from Power to the Pixels going to talk very hands-on about how we can all start working in this manner. But I think we have to keep that sustainability aspect with us. I am an evangelist for this too, so I do love this just as much as you guys do. But at the same time, we do need to think about the structures, especially from the funders. How do we enable this shift? Because it is inevitable.
I think it needs the development money needs to start include audience development. Media is taking care or come up with this new Creative Europe where they talk about audience development, but it's their definition of audience development.
It's not audience development.
It's more festivals, more drinks at festivals. And for me, audience development should start when you start writing your script. And for me, that's where more money should be available for you to write better stories, work with your audience, use social media or sitting down with your audience, sitting down with kids if it is a kid's story, sit down with adults if it is. Just build it with an audience because you learn so much. I think I learned so much in this job, in writing and creating, when I sit down in a room filled with 25 kids, because it really helps you to see how they react, how they get engaged.
Okay, one last comment from you, then we have to move on.
Yeah, all I want to say is that transmedia right now is like a trend, but actually we are all transmedia. I mean, if you watch a movie or a series on TV and at some point you hear a name that you're supposed to know and you don't know, you take your iPad, you Google it, you have the definition, the Wikipedia page of the character, you don't hit pause to do that. So you have multi-screen information all the time and you're active in having the information. The more we go, the more the next authors, the next generation of authors will be people with that philosophy and that way of living. So they will think multi-platform and they will write multi-platform as well, meaning that they could really plan this. I mean, having something on screen and creating like a fake character, but not developing that character on screen, knowing that people, they will do this. You know, themselves, because they will have this training, this mind training. And if there's a character they don't know it, they're supposed to know it, otherwise the story doesn't make sense anymore. Then they will Google it, they will find the fake page built for that character and so on. So, yeah, and it's happening now, it's already happening.
Okay, thank you so much to our panel, Johanna, Robert, Nuno, and
you.
Domenica. Okay, let's go on. Now it's my pleasure to welcome up on stage from Film Invest, Jaba Holst, who is Senior Executive Swedish Co-Productions, and Anthony Muir, Senior Executive International Co-Productions. Welcome up on stage.
Thank you.
Yes, you just take You can use the mic that's over there. Yeah, and then you just tell the technician when he wants to. Should
Thank
roll
you
the
for having us,
clip.
Andrea. It's so nice, so many people is here. Anthony, do you want to start?
Sure, thank you, Java. Film Invest is a regional fund located in West Sweden, and to make it clear, it is not a production company. Our main office is in Trollhättan, or as the locals call it, Trolleywood, and we have another office based here in Gothenburg. Film Invest is the largest regional fund in Scandinavia, both in terms of its operating budget and in terms of the number of productions we are involved in every year. In 2014, more than 40 feature films and documentaries with finance from Film Invest had world premieres. We have provided finance to more than 400 feature films since we began financing them in 1997. And we've worked with some of Europe's most interesting directors, including Thomas Vinterberg, Ruben Östlund, Michael Winterbottom, Wim Wenders, and Lars von Trier. And we have had 5 productions nominated for the Golden Globe in the last 5 years, and 4 nominations for the Oscars in that span also. Our local productions are consistently among the top at the box office in Sweden, and our international productions have competed at the most prestigious film festivals in the world. Film Invest has helped in establishing services, facilities, and infrastructure for filmmaking in West Sweden, making Västra Götaland one of the premier film regions in Europe. As we move forward, or I might say progress, we are increasingly looking to add more television production to our lineup.
Thank you. I have to reverse my order here because we got the slide first. So this is a piece of the productions we are going to make in 2015. They are the ones going into pre-production. We are committed. There are some other productions out there as well, but we are in negotiation. I will present them. We have The Most Forbidden, very loosely translated. It's a flagship production about the life of Kerstin Thorvall. It's 3 times 60 minutes, as you see. It's a lot of sex, literature, salsa, and angst, seen from a very special female perspective. And then we have The Spring Flood, which is for me, is one of the most interesting takes on what I call traditional Scandi crime I set eyes for a long time. It's Finland's, it's 10 times 45 minutes, and it's from the writers behind Beck. And then we have the tiny ones, Kivian Street, the animation. It's for the small children. It's non-verbal, as you can see, and it's 26 times 5 minutes. And there's a lot of furs and fruits and logs and friendships. A lovely piece. It's very important for Film Invest with the TV industry. It makes our wheels turn a lot. Last year, in 2014, we invested, 2.3 million euros in TV productions. And that was way more than half of our production volume in this region. So it's of utmost importance for us. And from that, we got kind of 26 hours of drama in different versions. We work with we need to get our productions out to all the citizens in the region and in Sweden. So we work from a repertoire point of view, so we need to cover. Before 2014, we had only like 2 or 3 productions a year with different quality. The public has always liked it. But now, as we are progressing, the demands is getting higher. We have still money left for 15. We have place for 15. It's very important for us to, in an early stage, come on board so we can work together. We are already now looking at productions in 2016, and which I do hope it will go through everything, so we have time. We all know that time is the best developer, and the money. Was it something more? I don't think so. No, we are going to end this to show a little reel about the productions we've been co-producing. But what was it? I forgot something here now.
If you want to get in touch with us?
Yeah, if you want to get in touch with us, that's a good idea. I don't know, Anthony, in which corner can I find you? Is it at our cocktail party, 2200 tonight at Hamngatan 46, or what?
Hopefully I'll see most of you there, but otherwise our contact information is all on our website.
Yeah.
So you can look up all my details there and get in touch with me.
Exactly. He handles the international, I handles the Swedish. So, yeah, let's roll. And thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you to Film Invest. And now we quickly move on to the next part of our program. And I think something that everyone is quite interested in, the drama days in Berlin that are going to take place in a couple of weeks. And here with us we have days. Yeah, it's the 9th and the 10th, right? Yeah. So we have the Berlin Festival delegate Nikolaj Nikitin here.
Thank you. Tack så mycket. Well, first of all, Andreas here, thank you for organizing this. And I think the movement that the drama days are here and going to be in Berlin are proven by this huge audience. It's really so lovely to see so many people. To follow up yesterday, The Devil Wears Prada. And my favorite movie is The Marathon Man. Anyway, so we at the Berlinale, you know, we are like the largest and one of the oldest film festivals. Started also a couple of years ago to move into the drama series format. We presented Top of the Lake by Jane Campion. We had House of Cards, and this year we're going to do much more, and I'm thankful for this possibility to present it. So basically, we have in different sections, different formats. So just briefly to introduce it, you can all check it out when you're going to come to Berlin. We're going to have in the Berlinale special, which is our basically a section where we present usually films that are very dear to us. We're gonna present TV series, and some of them were also presented here. So just to mention, we're gonna have, as it was said yesterday, the world premiere of 1992, which we're very happy about. So this is like in the official festival program. We're gonna show that one. We're gonna show Follow the Money from Denmark. We're gonna show, and I'm very excited to see it, Better Call Saul. I'm sure you know this is like the spin-off from Breaking Bad. We're gonna show Blue Eyes, where we just saw the clip from. We're gonna show Germany 83, which is a German series, obviously. So there are like 9 series we're gonna present within the official program. And besides that, in one of my favorite sections, The Generation, we're gonna officially show the Danish series Heartless. So this is like for the audience to be seen. Besides that, there are 2 other things in the FM, in the European film market, which you know is like the first big film market in the year. We're gonna present 6 series, new series with 2 episodes. And besides that, there's also gonna be Blue Eyes and Jordes Scott, which we saw yesterday. We're gonna present the Legacy 2 from Denmark. And this is like for buyers who want to buy this original content. And the third thing, and I think that's also very interesting for many of you, within the co-production market, which is a traditional thing where we're having for more than 10 years, where we usually present feature films on a script base to find finances. We're going to present 6 series formats to be developed. 6 because one of them is in collaboration with Series Mania from Paris. A colleague is here. So one project is going to be presented with us, and then it's going to go to Paris. And among them, I probably already heard about it. It's Babylon Berlin by Tom Tykwer, like one of our greatest directors. And this is really presented to find financiers. We have also Valkyrin from Norway. So there's going to be also panels and discussions within the AFM about new trends in series, together with one of our biggest regional film fund, the Film- and Medienstiftung NRW. So really in Germany right now, there's a lot of going on. I can tell you the German funders like Film Invest here in Sweden are very interested to get in touch with original series content. So please go to the Berlinale, visit us, be in touch with us. If you have any questions, talk to me, and tack så mycket, Andrea, and enjoy the lunch break in this great event here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nikolai. Okay, we'll quickly move on. Now we come to Moving Sweden, and here to present it, we have the film commissioner from the Swedish Film Institute and the commissioning editor of drama, feature film and drama. Of course, it's Helena Alsson and Hanne Palmqvist.
Hello, everybody. We decided that I'm starting, even though Helene is actually the main character here. And I'm just a stand-in because the real godfather of this scheme from SVT is Christian Vikander, head of drama. However, he couldn't be here today, but he sends regards. Very shortly, Moving Sweden is a talent scheme, and needless to say, it's extremely important for SVT that talent is being developed and has possibilities to make strong stories in formats that also later can be of benefit to the audience through TV. The 3 formats, and you will see a little film that will explain everything, are 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and 60 minutes. The exact same formats that are very helpful if you want to tell comedy stories, relationship stories, or crime stories in television. I would like to say that recently all the 4 regional funds, bigger funds, maybe there are smaller ones in Sweden, I don't know how, so excuse me on that. But the Stockholm Mälardalarna, Film i Väst, Filmpool Nord, and Film i Skåne is now associated also to the scheme. And was with us from the beginning, right? Yeah. The budget is about 20 million a year, about 2 million euro, maybe a little more. Yeah. But Helen, you take over. You're in charge anyway. So,
hello. Thank you, Hanne, for your kind words and for this being part of this great initiative. First of all, because you've been all so brave and patient out there in the audience, I would like to do some interactive stuff with you. Are you prepared? Yes. Thank you. We do some classic hand lifting here. It's very simple. I only have 2 questions for you, since this is a project to try to make it more simple for filmmakers to do their passionate stories. So, are you ready? Yes. First, raise your hands, those of you who doesn't understand Swedish. Good. Second, raise your hands, those of you who understand Swedish. Great. Then most of you can enjoy our film because the speaker is Swedish. Those of you now who are sitting next to one who raised first / didn't understand Swedish, now we can have a more loving world since it's so dark out there. So now, those of you who know Swedish, afterwards you can help them to translate. So you'll find a new friend and you will learn more about our great initiative. Roll it. Thank you so much. And besides the good news here, the first week of this great festival, that the whole film Sweden is now within this initiative, we also had 2 world premieres. So the 2 first films actually opened here Saturday, the Saturday we just had. And it was Roggewood, We Wanna Be Rappers, and Gorilla. And both 2 films now have their market screening, thanks to Sia. Love to you, Sia. Right now. And we also have an extra screening of Gorilla on Saturday at 12:30. So please see the films and make applications. We also can support development, which is nice. So I have 100,000 euro each year to support development. Script development, project development. And Hanne, when will the films be aired in Swedish television? Tell us.
Yes, Helen. The first film will be aired in week 25, and don't ask me the date of that because I'm not good in number of weeks, but definitely it will air on SVT broadcast and also on SVT Play, of course, from week 25 and onwards. So stay tuned.